and state legislatures. The Republican Party, the opposition, is way out of power, which means they will spend the Obama presidency trying to get back into power. And as of today, we have news. We have a much clearer picture of how the Republicans intend to try to regain power. The picture is becoming much more clear. I have to tell you, it is also becoming much more weird. The national leader of the Republican Party, their only elected national leader, is party chairman Michael Steele. Who's Michael Steele? Quick reminder, he is from Maryland. He once spent 3 years at a seminary before deciding that the priesthood was not for him. In 2000, he was elected chair of his state's Republican Party. He became Maryland's lieutenant governor in 2002. In 2006, he launched a failed U.S. Senate campaign in which he did not succeed in becoming a senator, but he did succeed in finding a way to send thousands of campaign dollars to his sister's defunct catering company, Brown Sugar, for catering that reportedly never took place. He's currently being federally investigated for that one. Before tonight, the leading indicators of Mr. Steele's efficacy as leader of the Republican Party came from his early decisive moves after winning the chairmanship. First thing, he scrapped the already underway plans to build a new RNC think tank. No, we're not going to do that anymore. Think tank? Who needs a think tank? Then Mr. Steele led the charge to derail the economic stimulus plan. Stimulus plan? Who needs a stimulus plan?
The government doesn't create jobs. Let's get this notion out of our heads that the government creates jobs. Not in the history of mankind has the government ever created a job.
Of course, the government created not only his job as lieutenant governor and the Senate job he didn't win in 2006, but government also created the job of the federal investigators who are looking into his sister's defunct catering company that he paid for, catering that reportedly never happened, right? Right. Now, we have learned in try not to laugh terms as of today what Michael Steele's plan is to return the Republican Party to power. In efforts that were perhaps foreshadowed when Mr. Steele denounced the stimulus as Democrats' effort to, quote, get a little bling bling. Mr. Steele, we have learned today, intends to give the Republican Party a hip-hop makeover. No, I mean the actual Republican Party. The one you're thinking of, hip-hop makeover. And I quote from an interview that he has done with the Washington Times, quote, we want to convey that the modern-day GOP looks like the conservative party that stands on principles, but we want to apply them to urban, suburban hip-hop settings. Explaining that he had killed the think tank plan but put in motion a new public relations team, Mr. Steele said, quote, it will be avant-garde, technically. It will come to the table with things that will surprise everyone. Off the hook. Asked by the Washington Times if off the hook in this case meant that the PR effort would be cutting edge, Mr. Steele replied, quote, I don't do cutting edge. That's what Democrats are doing. We're going beyond cutting edge. America? Behold your new Republican overlords. I, for one, welcome them. Because, frankly, at a time like this in our country, we need the kind of visionary leadership that is willing to be not just on the cutting edge, but beyond the cutting edge, which presumably means we could be in front of the cutting edge on the part of the thing that's not yet cut, but is about to be cut by the cutting edge. Behold the majesty of creative leadership. Just a reminder, Michael Steele does hold the Republican Party's only national leadership job. And what he is very awkwardly attempting to do, I think, is to position the Republican Party the way like your dad might try to, as if it is hip and cool. And in this case, it is hip and cool in a specifically black way. The reason that is awkward is not because Michael Steele himself is black, but because there are no black elected officials in the Republican Party on the national level. None in the House of Representatives, none in the United States Senate, no African-American Republican governors. The highest-ranking elected black Republican in the entire country, according to the African-American Republican Leadership Council, is the chairman of the Texas Railroad Commission. But don't let that stop you from seeing the modern-day GOP as beyond the urban-suburban cutting edge of hip-hop. Joining us now is Melissa Harris-Lacewell, Associate Professor of Politics and African American Studies at Princeton University. Melissa, thanks for being back on the show. Nice to see you.
Absolutely.
I am going to quote to you what you said the last time you were here on the show about Michael Steele. It was the night that Michael Steele got elected chairman. And you said that the Republicans electing him chairman of the party showed, quote, they're thinking Barack Obama is Superman, so what they needed to do was get kryptonite. Kryptonite comes from Superman's own planet, so they went to planet Black Guy. Which you should be proud of for having said off the cuff there. Do you still think that holds?
Not only do I think they went to Planet Black Guy, they went to like Planet Old Black Guy. I mean, this is a very bizarre set of choices to decide that instead of being part of real policy making, instead of being part of a set of new precepts around conservatism and what conservative politics might be able to do for the country, kind of offering an alternative vision, instead Michael Steele would like to direct the GOP to hip-hop. As far as I can tell, I mean, as funny as it all is, there's something here that suggests to me maybe they're thinking about trying to engage younger voters. Maybe what they see in the Obama candidacy and then the Obama administration is the use of social networking sites like Facebook and MySpace. Maybe what they're thinking is that hip-hop is a way to energize potential new voters among young people. That's the most charitable read I can give to this.
The thing that's incredible, though, is that it does imply that they think that maybe the way that Barack Obama won was through hip-hop outreach. Like Barack Obama, the least hip-hop man in America, as far as I can tell. I mean, my dad likes that one Jay-Z song, too, but it doesn't, it does imply to me that they've sort of taken the wrong lesson from his victory.
Well, I think they've taken the wrong lesson, but I also want to suggest that Barack Obama deployed, or at least allowed hip-hop to deploy itself in a lot of important ways. I mean, Jay-Z was on Southern college campuses, and Beyonce did sing at the inauguration, and Ludacris did make some videos that were widely distributed in kind of the echo chambers of young people. So hip-hop was always there. Barack Obama certainly wasn't leading the hip-hop charge, but he allowed sort of hip-hop political communities to do their work. I think the real issue is underestimating what hip-hop is. Michael Steele thinks that he can deploy it like some sort of, Pavlovian response, like when we hear it, we just can't help but to go buy that, malt liquor or GOP candidate because, we heard rap music. But that's not what hip-hop is. It's sort of a way of being. And the most important part of what hip-hop is it asks people to be authentic. The number one thing that you would get made fun of in hip-hop for doing is stealing other people's ideas or for not being authentically yourself. You got to keep it real, and Michael Steele is definitely not keeping it real.
Well, I think that the likelihood that black voters are going to defect to the Republican Party with or without Michael Steele in large numbers is it's unlikely. But I wonder if trying to rebrand the GOP as black might actually be sort of an effort to appeal to not necessarily black voters in some way, sort of in the way that you would be trying to appeal to white kids in the suburbs who listen to rap or something, maybe.
Well, sure. I mean, again, so remember, hip-hop is as much a generational movement as it is a racial movement. I mean, part of what we think of around hip-hop music and culture are young, urban, black and Latino young people, but the people who consume it are a much broader group. And, there's sort of Generation 1 and Generation 2 of hip-hop. I think of myself as, Generation 1, and we have beef with Generation 2 hip-hop. So there's older people and younger people. It's a rich community. But whatever it is, it's not a community that can simply be, as a matter of a marketing or tool or strategy, used against the very people who create it. This is going to fail, but it's going to be so funny. I can't wait to watch it happen.
This is a failure to look forward to. Yes, I know that feeling. Melissa Harris-Lacewell from Princeton University, it is always great to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Peace out, Rachel.
Excellent.